Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to a big ol' reveal for Cyberstorm Access. We've got 5 brand new ALBAZ Ecclesia lore cards that are really, I'm sure, going to be interesting because this should be the last set that we actually get support for those archetypes in a minute. And so obviously they're going to want to finish on a strong suit. But yeah. Let's get into it. Starting off here, first off, we have the Bystial Aluber. By the way, I'm going to do my best here. I don't know the intricacies of every single one of these archetypes, but man, there's a lot going on. Especially, I can follow archetypes when they do their thing, but there's just so many synergies like across these different archetypes, it becomes kind of crazy. But I'm going to do my best. So the first one here is the Bystial Aluber. So actually an Bystial monster, which I believe means this is searchable off of Bystial Lubellion, and it's a dragon, so technically it's searchable off Magnamut as well. It's a level 4 Dark Dragon Tuner, so a tuner also added in there. Not only that, but it's a level 4, so being able to be used level 10 synchros with the Bystial engine should become pretty easy here. 1800 attack, 0 defense, pretty beefy on the attack for a level 4. Second effect is a hard once per turn. This card's name becomes Fallen of ALBAZ while on field or in the graveyard. That's pretty nice. There's actually quite a few effects in the ALBAZ lore that like check to see if ALBAZ is on field or in grave to do something specific, which is cool. There's also a lot of cards that like Reborn Fallen of ALBAZ, so this is a possible target for that. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can discard one card, then target a dragon monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard and activate one of these effects. The first one says, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, take control of that monster on the field until the end phase. And send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon that monster from the graveyard to your field. So depending on where it was, you're going to get rid of this guy, you're going to discard a card, and then you get to kind of just steal your opponent's dragon. That's pretty interesting. I'm not entirely sure. You know, obviously a card that's kind of based on your opponent, like having to play dragons to really get full use out of this card. But it's still a level 4 Dragon Tuner. That could be enough. Searchable off Lubellion, searchable off Magnamut. That could be enough to make it a playable one of in the archetype, for sure, or in the engine, depending on the other deck, you know, the rest of the deck and what's built around it. But yeah, interesting. Okay. Moving on here, we move to Fallen of Arjuros. This guy does not have anything in the name that I think makes it super uber searchable, which is interesting. He's a level 2 Dark Thunder, so he's supposed to. He doesn't have Sprite or Splite in the name, so he's not technically one of those. But obviously, you can tell from the artwork he's got a little bit of Sprite red. He's got a little bit of the purple sprites going on here. It's cool. All right, he's a level 2 Dark Thunder, 700 for the stats. You can only special summon him with his first effect once per turn, and you can only use the third effect of this card once per turn. If there is a level rank Link 2 monster on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand to either field. Okay, I'm assuming this is level rank or Link 2, not all 3. Monster on the field, you can special summon this from your hand. Either field is an interesting clause here. We actually know a fair amount of cards that kind of get punished by effects like this. Stuff like Lightning Storm, evenly matched. What's another one, like Gamma, right? Stuff like that really gets punished by a card like this just because, you know, obviously they can't activate those cards. Very, very interesting. Even Impermanence is another big one. So that's kind of interesting in that regard. But again, it's not searchable by many of these engines, so weird. Link monsters that point to this card cannot activate their effects. That's kind of interesting as well. He's not a quick effect to summon, which is weird, but I guess if you're playing into a board, you could just summon this guy under a Link monster. Like if your opponent's on a board with an Appaloosa, with an IP Masquerena, whatever it is, summon this guy under those just so that they are now negated. It's pretty interesting. And the third effect, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one Exceed monster on the field, detach 2 materials from it. That is so weird that it's just random Exceed hate. Although this isn't that good against Exceeds anyway. I don't know. This is weird. It's definitely a weird situation with this card. I don't fully get it. I don't fully understand like when we're supposed to be using this card. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you have like some insight on what you think where this monster is supposed to come up. Moving on, we have a new Ice Jade. Woo! This is Ice Jade Adrianron. This is a level 7 Water Aqua Tuner effect monster. Very interesting. 1500 attack, 2500 defense. Ice Jades have a couple of interesting cards, but a couple of cards they've like massively whiffed on, so we'll see. You could discard one other Ice Jade card or Water Monster. Special summon this card from your hand, then you can special summon one Ice Jade token. That'd be a level 3 Water 0/0 token. While that token is in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except water monsters. So you do get water locked here, but this is a pretty good extender. This may even be a playable extender even for something like Mermail, like the Mermail, oh my gosh, what, Atlantean decks? Jesus, I don't know, I couldn't think of that. Like pitching any water, summon this, and get a level 3 token, and this is a level 7 tuner, so then you could make a level 10 synchro. It has to be water, though, so that's the one drawback, but luckily, in the last core set, I believe they got a really powerful level 10 synchro anyway. So 1.5 card, big boss monster, we'll take it. This card's name becomes Cenote Enion Cradle while it is equipped with an equip card. Okay. I don't really know how that comes up in Ice Jade, but I'm sure there's some synergy there. Maybe it's good. I don't know. Let me know down below. Seems like a pretty good extender, though, for just water decks in general. It's cool. Moving on from there, we get to Guiding Quem, the Virtuous. Okay. This is a level 4 light spellcaster, 15/15. So we were just talking about this. One of the new ALBAZ fusion monsters just straight up summons a light spellcaster with the same attack and defense from deck if it leaves the field by opponent's effect or something. So boom, this is another target there. Secondly, this card is always treated as a Dogmatica and Despia card. So uberly searchable in Despia, uberly searchable in Dogmatica. Okay, you can only use the first and second effects of this card once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, send one Fallen of ALBAZ or one card that mentions it from your deck to the graveyard. Ooh-wee. Okay. That's pretty cool. Also, I kind of skimmed over it. This card's a tuner. We're seeing that become much more relevant here towards the end of the lore. In fact, other than Sword Soul, really like almost none of these were like really that synchro oriented. But we're seeing that much more so here. Very, very interesting. But I like this. I mean, what you'll see, I kind of already read ahead on the second effect. If a card or cards leaves the extra deck, so that it means your opponent summons from the extra deck, something gets sent from the extra deck, whatever. That even means like a Kashtira Unicorn could banish a monster from the extra deck, and that would count. And it's the extra deck, yours or your opponent's. You can target one Fallen of ALBAZ or one monster that mentions it except for another copy of Guiding Quem. In your graveyard, special summon it. So, off the top of my head, I don't know what every single target that lists Fallen of ALBAZ in its text. There's obviously stuff like the Cartesia, I believe, lists it, so being able to reborn her and then she'd be able to fuse, a quick fuse if you wanted. But you also have ALBAZ himself. That's going to be one of the best ones, because if your opponent summons from the extra deck and there's a Dark field, boom. You know what I mean? Reborn ALBAZ, and boom, you can pretty much just quick super poly your opponent, which is pretty good. To me, this one seems like it definitely has the most potential out of the ones we've seen here for the new monsters, just because one, it's Dogmatica, so super searchable that way. Despia, searchable that way. It's got a solid effect that gets you access to stuff in Grave, which is very cool. And also giving you essentially an interruption, but also recursion, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty cool there. And it's a tuner. So the rest of these, this guy, we talked about this guy, he's kind of weird. This one could have a specific place because it has some searchable characteristics with Bystials, but this one seems the most realistically good in the ALBAZ decks. And moving on here, we have the final card here. This is branded Etude. This is a continuous trap card. You can only use the first effect once per turn. During either player's turn, you can immediately after this effect resolve, synchro summon using monsters you control as material, including at least one dragon monster. So you do have to include a dragon there, so it kind of needs a little bit of synergy with like the Bystials, I would imagine, but also some of the ALBAZ fusions are dragon, I believe, so that's like definitely doable. The other thing to mention here is this is continuous. So this is just every single turn you just have a quick synchro if you can put the materials on board for it. That's very, very scary for sure, especially if you also include the fact that the other new Chaos monster just got revealed, and it doesn't even need a tuner. As long as you just have like a light and a dark on field that add up to 10, you can quick synchro into that guy. Wow, that guy's crazy with this card. Okay, yep. And second effect, while you control a bestial monster specifically, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard because they tributed it for a ritual summon or use it as material for a fusion, synchro, or link summon is banished instead. Okay, interesting. So even a little like macrocosmos effect here for anything that's being used pretty much for an extra deck summon, period. That's pretty cool as well. I don't hate that at all. You do have to control Bystial for this to be live, but, you know, ideally this card really seems like it would probably just go in as potentially a one-of, like searchable card off of Lubellion, I would think, in most scenarios. So that's pretty cool. All right. All in all, like, listen, I wasn't expecting them to like change the game, you know, make stuff meta with the final like ALBAZ lore reveals. But there's some interesting stuff here. I think Aluber's really interesting. This guy, kind of weird. I don't really get him. This card's cool for Ice Jades and even just water decks in general. I could see this card getting splashed in. Weird. She has a lot of like generic synergy. She kind of reminds me of Cartesia in terms of like how she just like has solid effect after solid effect. And this card I could see being a 1-0 for Bystial decks. Cool. So all in all there, very, very cool. Again, I don't know the Bystial, the ALBAZ lore super well, so I don't know on that side of things. But these seem like some pretty cool cards. Other than that, I believe these were all 4 of the primary or the high priority slots for Cyberstorm access. So now we have like that big chunk of monsters missing. I believe this was the high priority trap card. And so I think all we're missing now is like 7 or 8 monster slots, 1 spell that's actually a high priority spell, and I think like 1 or 2 or 3 more traps as well. There might be 1 actually low priority spell in there as well. So we'll keep an eye out for those. I also heard like a little rumor that there was like leaks that came out a while ago, or maybe it was recent, but they had talked about the Beat Trooper support, the S-Force link, and 1 other thing that came out. And so a lot of people are kind of thinking that might be true. We'll actually find out in these final reveals. But they mentioned like a Skull Servant card, a Magistus card. That could be the new spell. That could be one of the monsters. I don't know. And I think I mentioned some other stuff like an agent support card. Weird stuff. But we'll have to keep an eye out for it. I think these 5 cards bring us down to either 11 or 12 cards left in the set. We'll probably get those in the next, 1 or 2 days probably, and then we'll be all cleared away for Cyberstorm access. So I will keep you up to date on anything relevant to that. Let me know your thoughts down below on any of these new cards, if there's anything specific that I didn't mention here, or just your general thoughts about these cards overall. Let me know down below where you land on them. I'd love to hear your thoughts there. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace.